What's up, Dragon Ball fam? It's your boy Eddie Soundlight coming at you today live again with a video. Today's video, I decided to make this because, contrary to what people believe, the designers of this game really value you guys' opinion, right? And one thing that this community loves to discuss and loves to debate, or hi, beautiful, say hi, loves to debate is the highly controversial every single set ban list, man. It is what it is at this time and point, right? So yeah, I want to make a video discussing this because I feel like this is something that's very vital and pivotal and needs to be discussed in the community itself. Because yeah, there's a lot of wrong takes on the list itself. We're all entitled to our opinions, right? You guys aren't entitled to. You guys aren't inclined to agree with me. I'm not inclined to agree with you. It is what it is, right? It's our opinions. But once again, that's why we have discussions like this. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. This, in my opinion, had to be hands down one of the best sets. Not only is sets, but like one of the best set ban lists itself. This introduced the first, for the very first time, the God Rare, right? Highly sought card, two great decks, playable right out the box in Trunks, Vegeta, and U7 Goku. Really powerful, really good. So with that being said, these were hands down the two powerhouses coming from this set itself. Now, even though these two decks themselves were the hands down most powerful decks to play from this set, they still had competition. And those competition were mainly King Piccolo and Gogeta Faithful Fusion. Now, in my opinion, this goes down as one of the best ways Bandai actually addressed this problem because, as we saw, the best two decks from the set were from set 16. Now there's two decks that 100% counter the top two decks from set 16, but these decks they weren't from set 15 or set 14. They were all the way back from set 12, which is really rough and puts people in a predicament because as Bandai is trying to do, they're trying to promote their products, they're trying to sell their stuff, right? But how can you do that if people are just saying, "Hey, yeah, those two"? Because U7 Goku was hands down, it was elite, right? So is Trunks Vegeta. But once again, if you're playing Gogeta, you tap one for a 16k blocker to warp their Trunks, and it's like, well, what do we do from here? For U7 Goku, you play KP and you just farm them because your KP Unison was never gonna pretty much leave the field. To top that off, since it's never going to leave the field, you have access to cards such as Wolf Fang Fist, as well as the Yamcha counterplay. You're never establishing board versus KP. So this was problematic, which led to Ban not handling these two cards in the correct manner, in my opinion, which we're going to get down to it later. This, in my opinion, is a definition of an unhealthy format, right? Because it wasn't that, hey, Trunks Vegeta as well as U7 Goku was just dominating decks because literally you saw I think the top two fest events. One was won by Michael Kano, the other with KP. The other one was won with what else was it? The other one was one with Brandon Corpus. He was playing Gogeta. That is not something you want to do when you're trying to promote a new set. So both these decks got hit on the respective ban lists. So, moving on to the next set. The next set was Ultimate Squad. Now, once again, Ultimate Squad, in my opinion, brought in the two top decks from that set was hands down Gamma, right? Gamma instantly became the best deck in the format. With it close behind in the set itself, the second best deck coming off from the set was the Fearless Fighter deck, right? This deck was a hands down sleeper. I think I was the first person to top with it at the what was it? I believe it was Otakon. I had the record to get top 8, but tiebreakers got me. I think I ended up getting 12th. And so I ran out at top 16. And then the very next event, I believe it was Justin Rios also played the Fearless Fighter deck. I believe he got top 8 with it on day 1, the singles event. And then on the second singles event, I believe he won with the Fearless Fighter deck. This deck was hands down a sleeper deck that people just saw it. They saw they couldn't combo Unisons, and it was like, hey guys, like, yeah, this deck is trash. But then you see two top tier players play the deck, and then they're able to do what they got to do with the deck because the deck itself was it was low key underrated. People just didn't realize the power of it. They realized the power of the Gohan Unison, but they didn't realize the power of the Gohan Unison and the actual Unison base deck itself. Now, throughout the Ultimate Squad format, even though these were top two decks coming out from that set, A lot of people were saying, Eddie, you're crazy. GT Spaceship Goku was doing something. I never seen GT Spaceship Goku in an event, so I'm gonna end that right there. But it was a cool deck, right? Because, in my opinion, as nerfed as KP was still a better deck because I mean, you're doing the same thing GT's doing except for free. So once again, we were in Ultimate Squad format. So in Ultimate Squad format, even though once again these were the top two decks, you still had these two decks around, which in my opinion is perfectly healthy because it's not from 4 sets ago. It's literally from the prior set prior to Ultimate Squad, which is the Realm of the Gods. So realistically speaking, you formed this triangle because as good as Fearless Spider was, a lot of people slept on it. So now the triangle became Gamma, Vegeta Trunks, as well as U7. U7, I believe, won the most events from this format because of my boy Robbie Rizzi. I believe he was in Origins, won all both the events, both the single events. I want to say it was. A shout out to my boy Jordan Markle as well. He got second place with the Zamasu Wish. You guys gonna say, Eddie, you missed about the Zamasu Wish? Yes, I didn't miss it. I didn't mention it because once again, Trunks, in my opinion, was just better. Because I think players are now starting to realize. I've been preaching this for the longest. I think the issue with the Trunks deck itself, a lot of players that were playing it as an Icarus deck, and it wasn't Icarus. Right? You didn't need cards like Turtles. You didn't need cards like Poutine. You didn't need those filler cards, right? Because those filler cards removed an advantage you could have played in Slug instead. Because your Trunks, if you're going against a good player and you're playing Trunks, right? The player sitting across from you is going to trigger both your Poutine and Trunks at the same time. For the longest, people have been playing Poutine. For the longest, I said don't do it. For the longest, people have been playing Slug. I said, guys, play Slug. The deck was just powerful, right? Super, super powerful. So this triangle meta ended up pretty much not even dominating the meta because within this triangle meta with the Trunks, U7, Goku, as well as Gamma, you had decks such as Blue Baby, SS3, Fearless Fighter, Turtles. You had a bunch of decks fighting in order to compete in the format. In my opinion, this was one of the best formats that we had because it was literally player dependent on what decks you wanted to play. You had a plethora of decks you could play, man. And like if you had any kind of dedication towards your deck, you would see it's a success. Even launch was shout out to my boy, I think Eric Hill was playing launch. You had once again a plethora of decks you could play and actually top and be successful. This was, in my opinion, hands down one of the best formats that we had since players just he play whatever decks you had. You had Mike winning with Blue Baby doing a whole bunch of tops, which led us going into a no ban list, which a lot of people are complaining. But in my opinion, what were you wanting to ban, right? Because if you look at it, this next set, which was Dawn of Legends, it was set as Zenkai Series Set 1. It's a brand new set introducing a brand new mechanic. So, yes, a lot of people, if you think about it, right? Now, if Ben were to listen to a lot of people think about it, there would have been banned launch because a lot of people saying, oh my goodness, launch is going to be insane. Launch is going to do X, Y, and Z. Launch should even do A. You know what I'm saying? Like, launch is still chilling where launch is chilling, man. A lot of people look at decks and just think, oh man, because of this, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. It's not the case. Two reasons why it's not the case. Number one, players in this game don't instantly play the best decks in the format, right? Players in this game gravitate to decks that they like, aka their favorite characters, or decks that they already have. So, aka if you have all the blue staples, I'm gonna play SS3 Reboot. I'm gonna play Blue Baby. I'm gonna play Gamma, stuff like that, right? That's how players really decide it. Versus other games where they just say, okay, cool, this is the best deck in the game I'm gonna play. And the reason why I say that because hands down, Dawn of the Z Legends, the best two decks in the entire game, not just the format. I mean, not just the set, but the entire game came from this set, which was 100% that's SS4 Son Goku and SS4 Vegeta in it together, as well as Sen Shenron Despair Made Manifest. Realistically speaking, I should have put the 1-star ball in here. That's what it is, man. It's a 1-star ball. 1-star ball causing havoc in this game. But once again, the way players select decks in this game, it's not based on whatever deck is the best. Yes, some players do that, but a lot of players in this game pick it by straight pure convenience because they have blue cards and they're gonna play the blue deck. They have green cards, you're gonna play the green deck. They have whatever color cards and they're gonna play that deck, or they just play their favorite character, no matter if it's good or bad. Because realistically speaking, in my opinion, A lot of top tier players are gonna tell you the same thing as well. This SS4 is Son Goku and Vegeta. It's just top tier, right? The only deck that I won't even say beat it. The only deck that slows it down is blue because of Dirty Burst. But really speaking, the difference between the SS4 Son Goku and SS4 Vegeta in together and Sin is that Sin has a very linear strategy that is very consistent. And if you're not playing against a player that knows how to pivot around this consistent linear strategy, you will get rocked pretty much because it's hard to defend those. Let me rephrase that. It's hard to win if you do not know how to defend against a 20k double strike crit and a 30k or 35k triple strike crit to the dome. You see what I'm saying? And that just taking away advantage you'll never see equates to players complaining that hey, or players having the wrong idea that hey, Sin is the best deck in the format. It's one of the best decks in the format. In my opinion, it's the second best deck in the format, right behind this SS4 Son Goku and SS4 Vegeta in it together. But that's a story for another day, right? Let's focus on these two decks specifically. So right now, a lot of players are trying to say because these two decks are dominant, the reason being is because of the interaction with the Gogeta Unison as well as Crown, right? Because players already don't like Crown, but for some reason they like leaving 3 untapped to play a Floodgate. There's nothing wrong with that. Or leaving 2 untapped to play a Floodgate. There's nothing wrong with that. But once again, that's another story for another day. Players think it's 100% fair that Crown either gets addressed on the list, most likely banned, but I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna get banned. Or they're calling for the Gogeta errata or a Crown errata, right? So the reason why I want players to slow their rolls is because of the stuff that we just previously talked about and discussed. A meta such as this, yes, where U7 is rough because Sin is pretty much an I want to say souped up version of U7. So it's straight power creeps U7. So it's not unplayable, but it's like, hi, why are you playing U7 when you can play Sin? Versus Trunks. Trunks, in my opinion, it eliminates both these decks. Now the issue that players have is that players don't want to play these decks, right? Players want to play their decks. So players are playing blue decks, players are playing green decks, and players are playing black decks. If you're playing those colors, and if you're playing against a competent player that knows what they're doing, and you're blue, you're green, and you're black, going against Sin or going against Gogeta, you're gonna get rocked. I'm not gonna lie to you. If you're a blue deck, or if you're a green deck, or if you're a black deck, and you beat these decks, it's 100% you are the better player. Because the best way I like to describe it, if you guys watch the team talks, if you player A were playing you player B, the player A version playing the red deck versus the player B version that's playing the blue, green, or black deck will always win because these decks are just 100% more powerful than these older decks, and that's the whole intention that Bandai had behind it, right? It's a new series, it's a new set, it's new mechanic. They want to promote this stuff. Now, I think that the only issue I would say with this block itself would be that all the power went to red, and that was an issue. So where players want to say, "Hey, address Gogeta," hey, address. I'm telling you right now, the Gogeta Unison, yes, it's cool and all, but you can literally remove the Gogeta Unison from the equation, remove the Crown from the equation, and these decks will still be problematic. With that being said, I'm gonna get to the ban list at the very end. We have this new set, right? This new set, it's not really a core set, but I want to say it's an expansion because it expands the game by bringing in these cool new Z battle cards for older archetypes as well as Z leader cards for these older archetypes. Now, in a lot of people's opinion, they're gonna disagree with me and say, "Hey, Eddie, you're wrong, man. You're straight crazy. Sin is the best deck." Now, what if I told you that Sin without a ban list, because the ban list won't be out by the time this is legal, right? Sin without the ban list inadvertently gets pretty much banned because of this deck. I mean, not the deck, because of this set. Now you're gonna say, Eddie, what are you talking about? It inadvertently gets banned. Are you crazy? It's crits, it's this, and it's that. Now, what if I told you, if you're following the concept, that each one of these sets that come out, you'll see there's built-in power creep, right? We had, besides these two decks, these are the only two decks that 100% were like, hey, there is no power creep on my watch. And they got the chopping block, right? So we had it started off with the Trunks Vegeta, the U7, then it went off with the Gamma, the Fearless Spider. Then you had this little mini triangle between Gamma, Trunks, and then U7. But the thing about U7, a lot of players just, I don't know, it was too expensive, it was too hard to pilot. A lot of players stopped playing it, and it just went between a back and forth between Gamma, as well as Trunks, as well as the road decks such as Blue Baby, SS3, Reboot, Fearless Fighter, Turtles. We had a plethora of decks. Like I'm not saying there's only decks, there were more decks than that, but we had an open format until it came to the first Zenkai Set 1 series, where now everything seems to close down to where it's if you're not playing red, you're most likely not gonna get there unless you're the better player and you're playing another color or yellow trunks. Because in my opinion, yellow trunks knocks both these top tier decks out. But yellow trunks, once again, since it's not such an oppressive deck as either Gogeta or the 1-star ball, you'll lose to rogue matchups that you're not prepared for, like Blue Baby, like SS3 Reboot. Like blue, it's problematic if you don't prepare for it, right? Black is free. Green, if you don't prepare for green, or if you're not prepped for green, you will lose as Trunks Vegeta against those center colors. But if you prepare for red and you only see red, you'll be really successful because once again, a deck like that 100% counteracts his deck. Now, you guys are probably gonna ask, Eddie, get to the good stuff, man. What do you mean when you said Sin is gonna be banned when SS when the new anniversary set is out, right? I didn't say banned. I said inadvertently banned because the same way where Sin pushed out a bunch of blue decks, green decks, and black decks, and all of yellow decks. When I say all of yellow decks, the only deck that they didn't push out is Trunks Vegeta. The same thing's gonna happen to Sin in a little bit because Set 5 Anniversary Set introduces a fan favorite leader as well as character in Vegito. This Vegito deck 100% says if I'm sitting down and I'm playing Vegito and you're playing Sin, just sign the matchup because this game is over before it already started. They can go first, they can go second, it does not matter. This is not going to be a video on a gameplay on Vegito versus Sin, but I'm telling you right now, if your opponent is playing Vegito and you're playing Sin, you are in for a rough time because this, the same way where if your opponent was playing blue, your opponent was playing green, your opponent was playing black, or your opponent was playing a yellow deck that was not Trunks Vegeta, and you were playing Sin, it was a rough time for them. Now the tides have turned because this Vegeta deck literally counteracts every single thing that you're trying to do. Not only does it counteract every single thing that you're trying to do, it also says if I'm going first, you'll most likely lose by turn 3. The same exact way, which is really, really funny, you did to other decks. Whereas as Sin, if you went first against those other decks, you would lose by turn 3 because you would get hit by that double strike crit, then a triple strike crit, and then next thing you know, just be over from nowhere. So, once again, this is not a how-to video, where we will get to that later in the week. But for right now, I'm telling you, this inadvertently power creeps Sin and now pushes this pitcher to SS4 Goku and SS4 Vegeta in it together, and the Vegito takes his place. Now, the same place, I'm not saying Sin is unplayable. The same way you see this picture, you don't see Pan pictured in it. Pan is also a really, really good slept on deck. If I were to compare Pan, I would compare Pan to this right here, this Fearless Fighter deck, where players are overlooking it because of the strength, the sheer strength of Sin and the SS4 Goku and SS4 Vegeta in it together, the same way players overlook this Fearless Fighter deck because of the sheer strength of the Gamma, as well as Trunks Vegeta and U7 Goku. So, the top two decks post, the top two red decks post 5th anniversary set for Dragon Ball Super card game. The top two red decks will switch back to SS4 Vegeta and SS4 Goku in together, as well as Vegito. Now, since Sin will take the shift back to this the Vegito leader itself because of the new Senkai support is getting with the new Z leader as well as the new Z battle card, a lot of older decks that people were complaining about will start to surface, mainly blue, because blue is a big counter to this deck and its strategy. Because yes, this card has deflect, but a lot of cards that you do play, deflect wasn't a key word at that time and point. So these guys really don't have protection, as you'll see when this deck takes off. Once again, I don't want to make a how to beat it yet in this video, but I will, because this deck will end up being problematic. And I'll tell you right now, from this deck, the focus will be shifted from, man, let's take out this SS4 Gogeta units, not SS4, the Gogeta Unison as well as the Crown, and now let's focus on Beans, because Bean in this deck is too powerful. These are all the colors and this and that and that and this, where players just need to be patient and wait till the next set finish getting revealed, and then you see what needs to get banned. Because I understand it's kind of helpful, and it kind of gives you a rough estimate that, hey, yes, you can officially play test if you had the ban this before set reveals. But I would argue the other side of the coin as well, where you're not really able to do that unless you see the spoilers as well, and you have the ban list, because they go hand in hand, right? Where yes, I can see the upside of having a ban list before the set spoils, but I can also see the upside of the developers not giving it to us till after the set spoil itself. Now to talk about it, right? The actual ban limited list. In my opinion, the ban limited, it is what it is. It's the boogeyman that everyone's scared of, and no one is let's say invincible to it, right? If you have an older deck, if you are an older deck and you're seeing a lot of success, aka how King Piccolo and aka how Gogeta was when we were 4 sets out past those, you're most likely gonna get hit. This is an example. You had the Thornton get hit, the Piano, the Unison, the other Gogeta Marvelous might get hit. I think it was kind of rough. I never like to see banned cards. In my opinion, if a deck is too powerful, limit their cards. I hate to see bans and I hate to see erratas. But I don't want to make this in a subjective video. I want to keep it objective, right? These cards people are complaining about, I'm telling you, these cards aren't problems. Crown is not getting banned. It just stop selling a Crown. They're not going to get banned. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Sensubin is a really good card, really fun card. You guys are going to have fun this format, especially when you see what Sensubin can do. Sensubin, as annoying as Sensubin is, there are answers to Sensubin, right? Cards, in my opinion, that should get hit are cards that have 100% no interaction with. There's certain cards that we all know that there's no interaction with. I'm not going to say it because those are my boys, and I don't want to put them on a target block, on the target, or on the chopping block. But we know what those cards are, man. With that being said, I hope you guys interacted with this video by liking, commenting in the comment section below to see what you want to see later in the video. And please do me a huge favor after you subscribe. Click that notification bell. Click all so you can be notified whenever my content comes out. The next video will most likely be the Vegito video, but I did see a comment on my last video wanting me to discuss blue decks, because I was really not adamant on doing it, but now that anniversary set is coming, I can actually discuss the blue decks, because blue is going to be the savior to taking out decks such as this new anniversary box Vegito, as well as others, right? There's other decks that can do, like Gogeta, the SS4 one from set 18, the first Zenkai series. It's not set 19, Zenkai series 1, it 100% handles it. But easier decks to use it will be blue decks, right? So I will annotate that and make a video for blue decks. I do believe blue has some really solid decks. You guys saw my video. I do believe that the reboot, very set 1 reboot of Blue Goku is the best blue deck in the game currently. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time for the next video.